We'll next consider in Module 2 the hedging of all or nothing options. And of course, this is something that needs to be considered by the market maker. If you as an investor, buy an all or nothing option, there is a market maker on the other side of that transaction. That market maker is thinking about their hedging position. And we looked at delta hedging and some of the characteristics of that, some of the properties of that in an earlier module, and so here we'll continue that. Interestingly, as we saw, all or nothing options are fairly easy to price. We just decompose the components of the Black-Scholes formula, and we can separate it into its respective parts, and we get pretty easy pricing. Interestingly, they're quite hard to hedge. And they're hard to hedge in the most extreme case when you get near expiration. When S gets close to the strike price and you're near expiration. If the S is way in the money or way out of the money, then again one guesses, just as with all options, that delta is near 0 or near 1. It's really the transition in the hedging between when this option is way out of the money and way in the money, where you go from a 0 and a 1, and intuitively you probably are thinking that that delta moves quite abruptly between 0 and 1 because there's no continuous transition in payment as there would be for a plain vanilla call. In other words, the hedger needs either 1 or 0 at expiry. There's no dollar interpolations. The hedger needs $1 or no dollars, or the hedger needs 1 share or no shares. There's no fractional shares, no fractional dollars that are paid, and it's that discontinuity that one, in fact, that creates the problem in delta-type hedging. And we can see an illustration of that here. And here we're looking at an all or nothing. This is a cash call. So here is a call where the investor has a required payment of $1 if the stock price at expiry exceeds the strike, and the strike here is $40, and otherwise gets paid nothing. So if we're looking at T minus 3 months, in other words, 3 months before expiry, you can see the price function of this option, nice and smooth, gradually increasing. Logically, it increases in value as stock prices go up. That's not a surprise. And if you look at the delta function, you'll see that the deltas are quite small. It looks like the deltas approximately, they're even less than 0.1. So quite small, that 3 months before expiry, if the stock price is in and around $40 to strike, basically the market maker needs to hold 1/10 of a share roughly. And we can see it's quite smooth. Now look at what happens 2 minutes before expiry. Now notice that the x-axis of stock prices has gotten significantly compressed. We're now looking at the difference between $39.95 and $40.01. In other words, for the stock price within 5 cents of strike, the delta of this option goes from 0, as you can see it's basically 0 below $39.95 and above $40.05, and it goes up to about 15. In other words, in and around 40, the closer the stock price gets to 40, the closer delta is getting to a value of about 17, which means that for just a few pennies move in the stock price, the market maker needs to go from a delta position of virtually no shares to a delta position of 15 shares. And you can quite well appreciate that 5 or 10 cents worth of stock price volatility is quite trivial if during a day and even during minutes of a day. And this really highlights the difficulty for a market maker of trying to hedge this kind of an option.